Hey you guys, this is Jaden Pictures here, and yeah, in this video I will be sharing another backstory of mine on the channel. Now I have done this before, on the channel with that video I made earlier this summer that shares the backstory of how I got into these spoofs on YouTube. And in this video I will be doing the whole sharing a backstory thing again, with me sharing my backstory of my opinion changing on this certain show which came out on Cartoon Network way back in 2010. And okay, it originally premiered on Nicktoons as a short thing, like back in 2007, if I'm correct. Yeah, it was back in 2007, but then Nickelodeon rejected the show in favor of Fanboy and Chum Chum, and then Cartoon Network took the show and it premiered on Cartoon Network in 2010. And that show is Adventure Time. Yep, Adventure Time. Like probably one of the most popular cartoons of all time, and definitely one of the most popular Cartoon Network shows of all time. I'm sure it might not, sure, it definitely ain't as popular as cartoons like SpongeBob or The Simpsons, but it's still pretty popular. Oh my gosh, it's one of the most popular and one of the longest running Cartoon Network shows out there. And the show's been over for almost 4 years now. Yeah, the show's been over for almost 4 years now, but that wasn't the end for the franchise. You know, we got Adventure Time Distant Lands. Yeah, I saw the entirety of one of the shorts of that. It's really good, but yeah, and yeah, you guys might have noticed on this channel that I love Adventure Time. Adventure Time is awesome. Adventure Time is great. You might have noticed that I love Adventure Time, looking at how, looking at the Adventure Time casting choices I've had in my Vegeta Shrek series, with Princess Bubblegum being Human Fiona, Bimo being Gingy, Ice King being Farquaad, Flame Princess being Dragon, etc. Yeah, and you've noticed the obsession over Adventure Time with that series. With how with how it's being highly used in that series, and being highly associated with series like Dragon Ball, and with series like Dragon Ball and Sonic, by having Vegeta and Princess Bubblegum fall in love with each other, having there be a couple between Goku and Flame Princess, having Shadow and Bimo ride one of the Gumball Guardians, and making Shadow X Princess Bubblegum a thing. Yeah, you guys might have noticed that I love Adventure Time, and Adventure Time is a great show. But you see, the thing is, I wasn't always a fan of it. And by wasn't always a fan of it, I don't mean that, oh, I started watching the show way after it was released. No, 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 no. By not always a fan of it, I mean, I legit hated it. No, I'm not kidding. I legit hated it. It was definitely one of the first, if not the very first show to ever get under my skin. And oh my gosh, way back, yeah, like I said, it premiered on Cartoon Network way back in 2010. My family got introduced to it and whatnot. I think I was 5 years old when the show premiered on Cartoon Network. I'm 17 years old now. I'm gonna be 18, an adult, in almost 3 months from now, on October 19th of this year. And yeah, the show premiered on Cartoon Network when I was 5 years old. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I was the same age when regular show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was the same age when. Yeah, I was definitely the same age when regular show premiered on Cartoon Network. Premiered on Cartoon Network later that year. So yeah, the show premiered on Cartoon Network on, I think, April, or yeah, I'm pretty sure it was April of 2010. And yeah, probably the first episode I saw of the show was this one really early one, where the Ice King kidnaps all the princesses so that he can choose one princess to marry and whatnot. Yeah, I remember seeing a preview of that off of the Cartoon Network website and whatnot when I was little. And yeah, we started watching the show, and I'll tell you this: my siblings loved it. I'm not kidding. My siblings loved it, watched it all the time. I legit hated Adventure Time. Like, I despised it. Yeah, and if you guys want to know why I hated it, I honestly don't know. No, I'm not kidding. I literally don't know. I literally don't know. Because it's not because of any reason that I'm too embarrassed to admit to or anything like that. I literally just don't know. Like, okay, now granted, I said that, I said, if I remember correctly, I said that I hated it because I thought it was dumb. But come on, I liked shows that were dumber than Adventure Time. I mean, sure, Adventure Time might have been dumb at times, but it's definitely not as dumb as some other cartoons, I've liked, that I actually liked. And yeah, I hated Adventure Time. I couldn't stand it. And my siblings would watch it all the time, all the time. I would constantly see them be at the living room couch watching the show as it airs on TV, and Cartoon Network aired it all the time, all the time. Seriously, the show was all over the place in its early seasons, all over the place. Cartoon Network aired it all the time. I remember it coming on Cartoon Network late at night. I remember it being the last thing. I remember it being the last thing that Cartoon Network would air before Adult Swim would start to air King of the Hill, and yeah, Cartoon Network aired it all the time. And I also saw T-shirts of the show and whatnot. I would hear other people talking about it and praise it. I would hear I would see guys on YouTube sucking it off, and yeah, they were giving out Adventure Time shirts. And I remember, yeah, my older sister Sam had at least two Adventure Time shirts, if I'm correct, and one of them was this one blue one, which was basically Finn's shirt, but it had Jake sticking out of the pocket of his shirt. Yeah, my oldest sister Sam had a shirt like that, and we used to have a picture of her wearing that shirt hung up on the fridge. Yeah, and people were in love with the show. People were really in love with the show in its early seasons. Oh my god, people were really obsessing over it. And yeah, my siblings were no exception. They loved it, watched it all the time, and yeah, they called me out for hating on it and whatnot. Although I wouldn't say that they were being too biased towards the show when they were calling me out on my opinion on it for hating it and whatnot. And yeah, I also remember that okay, so back in the early 2010s when we would all share a computer, this one computer that we used to have, this one really old computer that we used to have, but we haven't had it for years. We used to take turns, maybe every week, to change the background image of our laptop, the opening background image of the laptop, the image that comes up on your laptop when you first log in and whatnot. We used to take turns, maybe every week, changing the picture of our choice, changing the background picture of our choice, and yeah, there were I remember at least one time, at least one of my siblings would change it to the shot that you see at the end of the theme song, at the end of the Adventure Time theme song, that has Finn and Jake at the cliff and whatnot. Yeah, they changed the background to that, and that annoyed me. But no, they were able. But no, yeah, that annoyed me. But no, they were able to win and keep that background. It's also it's also how I got upset over them wanting at least in Adventure Time Me or Adventure Time Me's. I remember when I was little, on our Wii, they wanted to keep a me of Jake the dog on our Wii, which we got from the Check Me Out channel, which was one of the Wii channels we downloaded into our Wii. And by the way, that was such a good channel. By the way, I loved that channel, the Check Me Out channel. That channel was fun. I haven't visited in years, and I probably will never visit it ever again. Like a Hello Wii Shop channel closed over 3 years ago, but that's beside the point. But yeah, they wanted to keep a Jake the Dog me, which they got from the Wii Shop channel, and I was like, no, no, no. Obviously, because I was like, no, I didn't want to keep it because I hated Adventure Time. I hated Adventure Time, and I didn't want to keep, a me of a character from a show I don't like on my Wii. But nope. Luckily those guys won against me, and were able to keep that me. Yeah, and that's funny because years later, I would make me's of Finn and Jake. Yeah, and I have some other Adventure Time me's too now that I don't hate the show anymore. Yeah, I also remember me deleting Adventure Time recordings off the DVR. Yeah, I hated the show. I despised the show. Oh my gosh, I hated the show. And I remember not hating any other Cartoon Network show that would come out in the early 2010s. Like I said, regular show came out later in the year. Adventure Time came out in the year 2010. And unlike Adventure Time, I loved regular show right from the start. Regular show, I always liked regular show. Regular show's awesome. And I found its ending really sad. And I grew up with regular show. And I think I might have found myself liking that show more, maybe during the, maybe around the time the movie came out on Cartoon Network. Yeah, and the regular show is great. It's a classic. Definitely another one of my favorite Cartoon Network shows out there. I also remember in May of 2011 when I was almost done with kindergarten, The Amazing World of Gumball came out on Cartoon Network, and I loved that show too. I loved that show right from the start too. Gumball was awesome too. Yeah, Gumball was awesome too. I grew up with it, but like over time I became really lacking into keeping up with the series, and yeah, yeah, I don't watch the show as nearly as much as I used to now, but I don't really hate the show or anything. No, the show's a classic and it still holds up well, but I don't really think it's as good as other Cartoon Network shows out there, like Regular Show or Ed, and Eddie or Adventure Time or Foster's or Billy and Mandy. But I still think it's a really good show and holds up fine. It's a nice thing to remember. And I also remember Mad. It came out in I'm pretty sure 2010. Yeah, it came out in 2010 before The Amazing World of Gumball, and I always loved that show too. I always thought Mad. I always really liked Mad. I mean, I can understand why some people didn't like Mad, but for me, I thought it was awesome. I loved Mad. You know, the fact that they kept doing these skits for things I like oh my gosh, I'll never forget my reaction to when I first saw that one skit they did where they had Dragon Ball Z characters playing baseball. Oh my gosh, I was so happy because I was waiting for them to put Dragon Ball in one of their skits, and I finally got it. Although if I'm correct, that wasn't the first time they put Mad and that Mad put Dragon Ball in one of their skits, but still, I remember being blown away when I first saw that skit. That skit was awesome, and definitely one of my favorite skits in Mad. Yeah, I even liked the hated Cartoon Network shows that came out in the early 2010s. Like some of the most hated Cartoon Network shows out there, like Problem Solvers. Oh man, I don't want to go back and rewatch that show, but I'll be honest, I really liked it when I was a little kid. When it came out, I really liked it when I was a little kid. And the Secret Mountain Fort Awesome, whatever the heck that show's called, it was created by the same guy who did Uncle Grandpa. Yeah, I really liked that show too. But I feel like I can imagine me going back, if I were to go back and rewatch it, it wouldn't hold up as well. Yeah, and Uncle Grandpa. I also loved that show too. I even loved that show too. And yeah, while it does look better than Secret Mountain Fort Awesome, I can imagine not holding up as well as it did when I was younger. Although definitely my two favorite characters in the show are Mr. Gus and Piece of Steve. Yeah, and etc. I liked all those shows, but for some reason I hated Adventure Time. I hated it, and it was all over the place in its early seasons. I couldn't stand it. I hated it. I legit hated it. Hated it, hated it, hated it. Yeah, I really hated Adventure Time. I really despised the show. But then over time, I hated it less. Like, I know the more the show went on, I know the show's ratings really dropped dramatically. Highly dropped in its later seasons. Like, I remember the show's ratings dropping dramatically in its later seasons. And yeah, people thought the show was getting bad and all that stuff. You know, the show became darker and more focused on storylines and whatnot. And yeah, the ratings dropped dramatically. And I remember not seeing my siblings out there on the couch watching the show as much. Like, I remember, like, when I was little, like, almost every time I would see my siblings watching the show, it would have to be, like, an episode from, like, the first four seasons. Yeah, although, of course, there were times where I would see them watching later episodes. Like, I do remember one time seeing my two older brothers out on the couch watching that hour and a half special where Finn meets his dad, and you know, spoilers, it has his arm getting torn off and all that stuff, and you know, has it being replaced with a flower. Yeah, I do remember seeing my older brothers see that special one time, like back in the summer of 2014, but still, like, oh my gosh, I remember my siblings not watching Adventure Time as nearly as much in its later seasons. Yeah, the ratings dropped for it dramatically, and as time went on, like, I still hated it. Granted, I still hated it, but I didn't hate the show as much. Like, it didn't annoy me as much. Well, that was probably because the show wasn't as much all over the place at the time. Because, like I said, the ratings dropped dramatically. So that means, in other words, it was in my face less. And as it was in my face less, I over time hated it less. And I think there was a time where I hated it, but didn't think it was a terrible show. But still hated it, though, but it didn't annoy me as nearly as much as it did before. Yeah, and then I remember in June of 2017, it was during a camping trip. And I think this was where I finally stopped hating Adventure Time. Because I remember admitting to my older brother Joshua and my little sister Josie in the tent during our final night on the camping trip. And I admitted that Adventure Time was pretty good. It was actually pretty good. Yeah, and then my older brother Josh was all like, "But Jaden, you hated it." Yeah, yeah. Opinion changed. Opinion changed. If I remember correctly, yeah, it was back in late June of 2017, over 5 years ago. Yeah, if I remember correctly, I was like flashing back. I kind of thought about it. I thought about the show and looked back and thought, you know what, this show isn't that bad after all. But let's not get too, but let's not get too carried away. That wasn't where I started to love the show. Technically, I just thought it was okay. Like not the best show ever, but not that bad of a show to watch either. Like if it was on, it wouldn't be that bad of a watch. It's not bad. It's still not that great of a show, but not that good either. I still didn't like it as much as most people did. But then over time, like I remember hearing news that the show would end. The show was going to end in its next year in 2018, and then at some point in 2018, I found out that the show was going to end at September 3rd, 2018. I rewatched a bit of Adventure Time and like I remember the trailer. If I'm correct, like the trailer to the finale came out in late March of 2018. I saw it. Started looking forward to seeing the ending to the show. And I think from watching, okay, this was back when I used to watch PhantomStrider a lot. PhantomStrider, that cartoon YouTuber who I was introduced to way back in May of 2017 when I saw his top 10 worst Cartoon Network shows video. I'll leave a link to his channel and his top 10 best Adventure Time episodes listed in the description below if you want to check them out. Yeah, and I think from watching his top 10 best Adventure Time episodes video got me to rewatch a bit of Adventure Time. Yeah, it got me to rewatch a bit of Adventure Time, and I think that, if I'm correct, that was where I started to really like the show. Around that time, like during late March of 2018, that was where I started to really like the show. Like maybe not be too obsessed over it, granted, especially not compared to later that year, and I'll go over that in a minute. But yeah, that was where I started to really like the show more, and like the show more like how a lot of other people did. And I started to really like the show. And I would say I started to look more forward to the ending, to seeing the ending to the show and whatnot. And yeah, the show grew. It became more interesting to me, and I started to really like the show. And oh man, I'm getting a little hyped up talking about this. Yeah, I remember. That was in late March of 2018, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over 5 months later, I think over 5 months later. Okay, it was on the day before the show ended. Sunday, September 2nd, 2018. It was on the day before the show ended. And I was watching some more Total Drama-Rama. Yeah, I was watching some more Total Drama-Rama. I kept up with the show, but then as I kept up with the show, I found the show pretty boring and whatnot. I mean, I really liked Total Drama-Rama at first. That childish reboot for Total Drama, but then as I kept watching it, I found it boring and, not that interesting, so I just dropped it after like 7 episodes, after like the first 7 episodes. And then I think I went on to, if I'm correct, I remember I went on Watch Mojo. I went on WatchMojo.com, and then I saw their most recent videos, and I saw that day they uploaded a video talking about the top 10 Adventure Time songs. That goes over the top 10 best Adventure Time songs. Then I clicked on the video, saw the list. I thought it was a pretty good list, and I'll also leave a link to Watch Mojo and the top 10 Adventure Time songs listed in the description below if you want to check those out as well. Yeah, I saw that list, and then I was reading through the comments, and I saw someone in the comments section say that the show was going to end the next day, which I think that gave me a reminder, because I remember I forgot that the show was going to end at September 3rd. I stopped thinking about it. But then that comment reminded me, if it wasn't that comment, I think it was the video, it was that Watch Mojo video itself, because I do remember them putting tags in the video whatnot saying Adventure Time 2010 to 2018. Although I think it was more likely that comment though. Yeah, because, I don't remember who made that comment, but I do remember that comment talking about how Adventure Time would end the next day. So yeah, that got me to think about it. Yeah, and it was the day before the show ended. I thought about it. I thought that would be a good idea to rewatch the show. To rewatch the show before it ended. On the day before it ended, because I didn't get to do that before regular show came to an end. I didn't do that before on the day before regular show ended, I thought it would be a good opportunity to do it with Adventure Time. I was like, yeah, I was thinking yeah, you know what? I don't hate the show. I stopped hating the show a while ago. I think the show deserves a nice look back before it's time to say goodbye to it. So, yeah, I started rewatching some of Adventure Time off of Daily Motion that morning. Off of Daily Motion, it was like early episodes, like season one episodes, like that one Iden Kyridian episode that in early season one. That was one of the ones I watched that day. But then the first one I watched was this episode. I remember the first episode I saw that morning was the episode that I was talking about earlier. You know, the one with Ice King kidnapping the princesses. Yeah, I saw it, and I remember quickly. I saw that episode. Was watching it off of Daily Motion. And yeah, quickly. Yeah, as I was watching the episode, I quickly fell in love. I quickly fell in love with Adventure Time. I felt, oh my gosh, I'm feeling pretty happy talking about this right now. Yeah, I fell in love with Adventure Time. I all of a sudden felt a love feeling for the show that I had never felt before that point. Yeah, I loved it. I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best shows ever. And all of a sudden became my favorite Cartoon Network original show. It was awesome. It was like at a very close level to Dragon Ball and whatnot. I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my god. I fell in love with it. I was so... Yeah, and then I became obsessed with it, and I was watching more episodes as I was going along. And they weren't all season one episodes, though. Yeah. There was also this one season 2 episode, and if this isn't a season 2 episode, then it's a season 1 episode, and it was this one where Finn accidentally throws that bottle at Princess Bubblegum. Yeah, that one's a really good one. And yeah, I fell in love with the show. And then I went into Veilski Bum 94, who is yet another YouTuber I'll link to in the description below. And you know, I also saw that he made this one video talking about how Cartoon Network the next day would do a big Adventure Time marathon to celebrate its finale. Yeah, and they would air the finale twice in a row before moving on to Adult Swim and they would air Dragon Ball Super. And guess what Dragon Ball Super episode they aired? Literally what was at the time my favorite episode of Dragon Ball Super, the Goku vs. Copy Vegeta episode. Wow, Adventure Time and Dragon Ball back to back with each other like that. That is awesome. That is awesome. It's like the guys were spying on me, and you know they thought, Jaden's all of a sudden in love with Adventure Time, and he's loving it at a very close level to Dragon Ball. Oh, I know, great idea. Let's air Adventure Time. Let's air Dragon Ball Super, his favorite episode of Dragon Ball Super, which is the Goku vs. Copy Vegeta episode, right after we do this big Adventure Time finale marathon, right after we air some episodes of Steven Universe. And yeah, that was so cool. Isn't that a cool coincidence? It reminds me of how CW 4Kids, back when 4Kids was a thing, how they would air Sonic X, Dragon Ball Z Kai, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Back to back. Because it was like this. First, my little sister Josie's thing. Then my thing. Then my older brother Joshua's thing. It reminds me so much of that, and that was so cool how they did that. But yeah, I went on that video and found out about the cool marathon thing Cartoon Network did, thanks to VeilskiBum94. If I can find that video, I'll also leave a link to it in the description below as well. Yeah, I found out about it. I got really excited for the ending. I got really excited for that marathon. And yeah, I was watching some more Adventure Time later that day. And then I went to sleep that night. And I woke up the next morning. I woke up maybe around 9:39 in the a.m. I woke up and I saw a My Pillow commercial on the TV. And I was like, the Adventure Time finale marathon. So yeah, I quickly changed the TV on to Cartoon Network. And I was watching the Adventure Time finale marathon while still feeling pretty tired. And if you guys want to know what episode I tuned into that was airing as I turned the TV on to Cartoon Network, it was that one episode where Jake and his daughter, I forgot her name, but Jake and his daughter go do some father-daughter card wars thing. Yeah, that's a good episode in my opinion. And it's one of the later episodes of Adventure Time too. So yeah, at the time where the show wasn't really as popular. So yeah, and I was watching the marathon. I spent the majority of my day watching the Adventure Time marathon. I kept watching it episode after episode, watching it, binging on that marathon, getting so excited for that finale. Yeah, and I was watching the finale in my room, and And I think, if I'm correct, my little sister Josie was sleeping out here in this living room, which, if just so you guys know, is the spot where I'm recording this video right now and sharing this backstory. My little sister Josie was sleeping in the room, was sleeping out here in this living room, and she moved to her room. She went into her room, and that gave me the idea to go out here and watch the Adventure Time finale from out here. And then at some point, my little sister Josie came back out here, and she saw that I was watching Adventure Time, and she asked me if it was a recording. Then I told her no, Then I told her no, and I explained to her the whole thing about Cartoon Network doing the Adventure Time finale marathon, and she wanted me to record episodes and whatnot. So yeah, we recorded episodes off of the Adventure Time finale marathon. Yeah, I kept watching the Adventure Time finale marathon, and I kept watching the Adventure Time finale marathon. And yeah, at some point we left this home to go down to the gas station and get pops. Got me a large Mountain Dew, my favorite soda, and then I came back here, kept watching the marathon, got so excited for the finale. Like the only time I ever got excited for a new Adventure Time episode. The one and only time I ever got excited to see a new Adventure Time episode. Right there, guys. Right there. I got so excited to see the Adventure Time finale marathon. I saw it, and I loved it. It was a great finale. It was a great, great finale. It was a really emotional one, too. Like, oh my gosh. I remember after I saw that finale, I turned off the TV. And, had flashbacks of the show in my head, just laid there in my bed, in my room, in silence. Thought about it for a second, and then my dad barged into the room, and then me, him, and my little sister Josie went to Chick-fil-A for dinner. Yeah, we had dinner from there. Yeah, and I was being sad about the finale because it was the finale to Adventure Time. But don't worry, guys, I wasn't heartbroken or anything like that. I wasn't disappointed in the ending or anything like that. And it wasn't to a point where either of them asked me, "Hey, Jaden, what's wrong?" No, it was fine. That finale left me feeling pretty sad. Yeah, but then we came back. I remember when we came back, I tuned in on Cartoon Network, got to see, I tuned in on Adult Swim, got to rewatch that awesome episode of Dragon Ball Super with Goku versus the duplicate Vegeta. Had fun watching that episode again. And then, if I'm correct, then I made memes of Finn and Jake and whatnot. And yeah, it was a really good day. Yeah, I was really sad about the Adventure Time coming to an end. And then later that day, I was on YouTube and I saw someone upload the last few minutes of the finale onto YouTube, and I was reading comments and whatnot. And then I was in bed that night, and the emotions were really getting to me with how sad that finale was. Yeah, I mean, the first time I cried about it, I broke a tear. I broke a little tear from that Adventure Time finale. Not even the regular show finale made me break a tear like that. And I like regular show more than Adventure Time. Although at the time I preferred Adventure Time over regular show because I was too obsessed over the show at the time. But yeah, I broke a little tear right there. And then I kept watching Adventure Time as that next week went by, and had fun watching it. Yeah, and then during the Friday after I saw that finale, I was on the lyric video for the Island song. But yeah, it didn't have the version that played in the Adventure Time finale and in the end credits the version that usually plays in the end credits of every episode of Adventure Time. No, it was a different version. It was a different version of the song, and I was listening to that song as I was reading the lyrics and whatnot in the video. And I was getting really emotional, and then I scrolled down to read the comments. I was seeing people say stuff like "Rip Adventure Time," talk about the ending, and then, oh my gosh, I was crying for 2 minutes straight. Oh my gosh, I was crying. And again, this is the same person, probably the only person in their family to ever hate Adventure Time. Ever. Yeah, he's the one crying for over 2 minutes right there about the show ending. And then after I cried, I went to the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror. I saw my eyes were getting all pinked up and stuff. And and then the next day, kept watching more Adventure Time. My father took me and my little sister Josie out to McDonald's for an early dinner, and then we came back, and then Jacob asked me if I wanted to play Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 with him on the PS4, and then we were playing the game out here, And as we were getting it ready or whatever, I told Jacob about I think my brother Jacob asked me what I've been up to, and I told him that I was watching a lot of Adventure Time, and he called me a beast, and he said that I hated it. He brought up the fact that I hated it and whatnot. Yeah, he brought up the fact that I hated it, and I claimed that I always loved it. No, that's a lie. No, I used to lie and say that I pretended to hate the show. But no, guys, no, don't listen to that. No, I didn't. No, there's no pretending. I legit hated the show, and again, I don't know why. I don't know why I hated the show. I don't know why I did, but I did. But yeah, we got the PS4 ready, we got the game ready, and Jacob and I were playing against each other in Naruto and whatnot. Yeah, at some point I admitted to Jacob about me crying at the over the Adventure Time finale, and yeah, and he was like laughing, and yeah, I told him I was praising Adventure Time to him, and yeah, he found out about me being all obsessed with Adventure Time and whatnot. Yeah, and I loved it. And then I remember almost a month later, I would admit to that to my older brother Joshua, and he laughed at me, and he thinks that that finale isn't that sad. Yeah, like Josh doesn't think my oldest brother Joshua doesn't think that the endings to shows like regular show or Adventure Time are all that sad, because he's seen anime finales that are sadder than that, and he has seen a bunch of animes. He's seen way more animes than like anyone else in his family. Yeah, I've seen animes too, but anime ain't as good as Western animation. Although I still like anime though. I think anime is an enjoyable enough an enjoyable enough form of media. But Western cartoons over anime. But yeah, I told my oldest brother Joshua about me crying at the Adventure Time finale, and he laughed at me. He laughed at me, but did I feel embarrassed about it? No, I didn't feel embarrassed about it at all. No, I did more of like just staying there in silence, and he laughed at me. And that was during a phone call, by the way. And yeah, apparently I cried for nothing, because there were comics of the show and whatnot that were still going on, and we got Adventure Time Distant Lands that got these specials for Finn and Jake, Princess Bubblegum and Marceline and BMO and whatnot. So yeah, I guess I cried for nothing. And my older sister Samantha said that she cried over that too. Yeah, but I don't think anyone else in my family cried over it. So yeah, I was so obsessed with Adventure Time at the time, and yeah, I was being a big fanboy towards the series. I was being so fanboyish towards the series. Like, not only did I refuse to admit that I used to hate it until like months later, when my oldest brother Jacob got me to admit it way back in early February of 2019. Yeah, but like I was also like getting mad when people would hate on the show. Like, there was this one video, which is yet another video I'll leave in the description below. It said Adventure Time sucks. It was a rant video on Adventure Time. Yeah, and the guy said it sucks and whatnot, and he was really ticking me off. And I was falling for a troll, because that video is definitely a troll video, but somehow I fell for it, silly me. And I got mad at it. But yeah, looking back, I'm pretty embarrassed with my anger towards that video, even though it was a while ago. I'm pretty embarrassed towards my anger towards that video, even though it was a while ago. So yeah, I'm sorry for getting too mad at whoever made that video. Yeah, and guys, again, I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. But yeah, at the time I was too much of a biased fanboy towards Adventure Time. I was getting mad at people saying it was bad. And I also saw people in the comment section of like Watch Mojo videos saying it was bad, saying that it shouldn't be on this positive list and whatnot. Like, I saw there were people in the comments in the comment section of their top 10 Cartoon Network shows video from way back in 2014, and they were getting mad. Adventure Time was on there and got number 1, and I was all like, yeah, I was getting mad at them for saying that stuff. I was getting mad at them for saying that stuff. And the funny thing is, I remember watching that list when I was little. And it was back when I still hated Adventure Time. I was off of my Wii U gamepad, and I clicked out the video as soon as I saw that Adventure Time got the number 1 spot. Clicked out the video as soon as I saw that Adventure Time got the number 1 spot. Clicked off of my Wii U gamepad. Yep, it was back when I still hated Adventure Time. And fun fact, I think it might have been the first video I ever saw from Watch Mojo. Yeah, and that video is yet another video I'll leave a link to in the description below. A lot of things will be linked into the description below. And yeah, I was being so obsessed over the show. And another thing I want to bring up in this video, this was like 2 days before I before I admitted to my brother Joshua about me crying over the finale and whatnot. Yeah, I saw like it was like I think what was like a Screen Rant video that was going over facts about Adventure Time or like theories or whatever. It was some kind of video. I don't exactly remember what it was, but it was some kind of video that ended with them talking about this one really sad fan theory that I fell for, and that was that Adventure Time is nothing more than a coma that Finn is having. Yeah, and I found out about the fan theory, was crushed, was heartbroken. I was so sad about it. I was so sad about it. Yeah, and then we got out. Yeah, and I was called out to the living room for dinner to eat Pizza Hut for dinner. Yeah, and then my brother Jacob noticed my sadness, and yeah, I couldn't hide it from him, even though I was originally planning to talk to him about that, about why I was sad that night, sad later that night. And I told Jacob about about the whole thing about that fan theory, me getting all sad about it, and he told me that, and he got me to make, and he made me feel better about that fan theory. Although I still felt pretty sad about it after he told me about it that night, but I wasn't really as sad about it. And then I remember the next day I felt all better about it. So yeah, it's a good thing I felt all better about it. Yeah, because I was crushed when I found out about that fan theory, that Adventure Time is nothing more than a coma that Finn is having. Yeah, I found out about that. It was so sad. It was so sad. It wasn't even a month after I started to be so crazy obsessed over the show. Back in Sunday, September 2nd, 2018, the day before the show ended. But yeah, I stopped believing that fan theory is real, and it's a good thing that fan theory isn't real. That fan theory says some things that aren't true about the show. Like I remember one person in a video that was talking, that is titled "The Truth Behind Adventure Time," which is another video I'll leave a link to in the description below. Oh my gosh, how many links will be linked to in the description below of this video? But yeah, let me carry on. The person in the video said that Finn was living in this world, never aging or changing. In this world that he was in, that he was dreaming of from that coma, and he said he never ages or changes. Yeah, both of those are false because in the series, Finn matures, his voice changes, and he ages over time. He becomes more of a mature teenager, becomes closer to being an adult and whatnot, becomes less childish. So yeah, the whole never aging, never changing thing. No offense to the guy, but both of those are false. So yeah, that's already good enough proof that fan theory is false. So yeah, let's not get too sad, Adventure Time fans. But yeah, I was so crazy obsessed with Adventure Time at that time. But then over time, I became less crazy obsessed over the show. But don't get me wrong, guys. It's not that I don't love the show anymore or anything like that. No, I still love Adventure Time. Still definitely among my favorites. But it's just I'm not as crazy obsessed about it. It's just with it as much as I used to. But no, I still love Adventure Time though. I still think it's great. A great show. That sad ending. Although that ending stopped making me cry a while ago. Like I remember revisiting the last 2 or 3 minutes of that ending way back in it was last September 3rd in 2021, because I realized that was that finale's 3rd year anniversary. Went back to revisit that show at the school library one time during study hall, and yeah, it wasn't as sad to me. Didn't even come remotely close to making me cry. Although it's still pretty sad ending though. Probably any series finale to any show I like is something I consider sad, because probably any series finale to any show I love is considered sad. Is considered sad by me, because it's the end of something I love. It's the end of something I think is great. Yeah, it's that greatness. It's that greatness coming to an end. It's the same thing with the regular show finale. It's the same thing with Ed and A's Big Picture Show. It's the same thing with the Foster's finale, etc. It's the same thing with the Dragon Ball Z ending, yeah. But then over time, I became less obsessed over the show, acted less like a fanboy of the show, and I've been less of a fanboy over the show for a while now. But don't get me wrong, guys, I still love the show. I still think it's awesome. I still think it's great, and I still think it's among my favorite cartoons out there, and still among the best cartoon shows ever, in my opinion. I'm just not as fanboyish or obsessed with the show as much as I used to. You know what I mean? But the show is still great, though. I still love Adventure Time. It's still definitely among my top 5 favorite Cartoon Network shows, which I don't know what my top 5 is. My top 5 favorite Cartoon Network shows, though, but I'm sure Adventure Time would make that top 5.
And yeah, and also guys, over 2 years after I started being obsessed with that, with Adventure Time like that, back in September 2nd, 2018, I got a box set of Adventure Time during my birthday in 2020. During my 16th birthday in 2020. And it was on the same birthday I got Dragon Ball Z, a box set, a complete series box set of Dragon Ball Z for my birthday too, along with a DVD of the Return of Cooler movie. So yeah, I got a box set of both Dragon Ball Z and Adventure Time for my birthday too. And the funny thing is, I used to hate one of them. Like seriously, imagine asking like my elementary school self which show is better between Dragon Ball Z and Adventure Time. I'd be like, no, Adventure Time sucks. Dragon Ball Z is so much better. Dragon Ball Z is so much better. And yeah, guys, while I still think that Dragon Ball is better than Adventure Time, while I still think that Dragon Ball is better than Adventure Time, I would no longer say that it's way better than Adventure Time because I love both Dragon Ball and Adventure Time. And I think they're both great animated shows, but yeah, I think Dragon Ball is better. But Adventure Time is still great though. And yes, guys, I know Dragon Ball and Adventure Time. I know, guys, I know Dragon Ball and Adventure Time are different to compare, are not similar enough to each other to compare and whatnot. They're too different to compare. But you know what? I like comparing. You know what? I like comparing stuff I like together, comparing shows and movies and games I like together to see which one's better, no matter how different they are. Like I think these two shows being different is part of the fun of comparing them, if you know what I mean. so, so yeah, we've had that Adventure Time box set for a while now. And yeah, like as I said before in that one previous video, we also have Adventure Time Distant Lands on DVD too. So yeah, we have like the entire Adventure Time franchise on DVD, like almost the entire franchise on DVD. We don't have that short, that Nicktoons that originally aired on Nicktoons, but I don't think it's possible. If I'm correct, it's not possible to get any DVDs of that short. Yeah, but still. Yeah, but still, we have a bunch of Adventure Time. We have a bunch of Adventure Time on DVD. We have the entire original show on DVD. We have all of Distant Lands on DVD. We're being good Adventure Time DVD collectors. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much that's like the whole story. That's pretty much the whole story. Yeah, the video is over 40 minutes long. I dragged the video out to over 40 minutes long. Yeah, there was a lot to explain in this video. A lot to explain. It's a pretty long story. There was a lot to explain. There was a lot that I wanted to cover. You know, guys, this was a video idea that has been in my head for a while. For like over the past 2 years. This video idea has been in my head for a while, for forever. But I never really felt like making it, but I never really ended up making this video idea come true. Not because I'm too embarrassed to admit to this story or anything like that, but because, you know, I was just being too lazy to share the story on YouTube. But here it is, guys. I'm sharing the story on YouTube on a long but video. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much the whole story. I think I've covered enough. I covered a lot of stuff in this video. And yeah, guys, that is the in-depth backstory of my opinion changing on Adventure Time. Like I said, used to hate it, but now I love it. It's a great show. It's a great show. You know, I really enjoy characters like Finn, Jake, Ice King, Beemo, Marceline, Princess Bubblegum, who is Shadow's girlfriend. LOL. Yeah, I also enjoy other characters like the Gunters, Cinnamon Bun, Flame Princess, etc. I think Adventure Time has a lot. I think Adventure Time has a lot of good characters, and overall a great cast. And I also really like Jermaine too. Sure, he didn't really get that much screen time, but I still think he's a really interesting character too, with being the brother of Finn and Jake. Would be nice if he got more screen time, but hey, at least he does make an appearance in like a few episodes. So, yeah, guys, that's like the whole story of me, of my opinion changing on Adventure Time. Again, went from hating it to loving it. So, yeah, if you guys want to, you can tell me in the comment section down below if you guys have a similar story like that. Like, have any of you guys ever felt that kind of way with a show where you used to hate it, where you originally hated it, but then over time you hated it less and less to the point where you absolutely love it? Have any of you guys had that experience before? Like, not just with Adventure Time, but like with any show in general. Have you guys ever felt that with any show? If so, you can tell me in the comment section down below. I would like to know. I would like to know. I would like to know about that, guys. I think that would be interesting stories for me to see, for me to know about. And yeah, guys, the video's dragged out to over 45 minutes long. And yeah, I'm just gonna end the video right here. Just gonna end. I'm just gonna end the video right here, guys. That's pretty much the whole story. So yeah, that's the story of me, of my opinion changing on the great classic Cartoon Network show, Adventure Time. And that's all for this video, guys. Bye, everyone, and thank you all for watching this video.